April 11th, 2024, 11:23 a.m. The Baltic Sea. Imagine this, the destroyer USS Donald Cook, a steel beast on a routine patrol, when suddenly her radar lights up like Times Square on New Year's Eve. Two Russian Su-24s, those dump truck-sized strike bombers, drop off the coast of Kaliningrad. They're skimming the wave tops, boring straight in at 500 knots, 30 feet. That's barely half a wingspan. That's how close the lead jet screams over the helipad. Every single person on that deck knows, with chilling clarity, that one twitch of a stick could spark an international incident, a global crisis. But what those Russian pilots don't see, they don't see the destroyer's captain, already sliding a red-covered binder across the console, his eyes locked on the horizon. By the time those jets turn for a second, even more aggressive run, the Americans answer with a move so blunt, so calculated, so utterly unexpected, that Moscow's own state media will later call it unprecedented. Now, the USS Donald Cook isn't just any ship. She's an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, 9,000 tons of cutting-edge steel, packing 96 vertical launch cells that can hurl a Tomahawk missile 1,000 miles. And at her core, the legendary Aegis combat system, capable of tracking hundreds of targets simultaneously. Now, Su-24s aren't what you'd call sleek fighters. They're more like flying dump trucks, purpose-built strike bombers designed to lug massive Kate-31 anti-ship missiles. Each one can carry a missile under its belly that screams in at Mach 3, a terrifying thought. But today the pylons are empty. The threat isn't kinetic. It's purely psychological. It's a mind game designed to intimidate. At 5 miles out, the jets suddenly pop up to 200 feet. The Donald Cook's bridge-to-bridge radio crackles back to life, issuing the standard challenge, clear and firm. Russian aircraft, this is US Navy warship on your 12 o'clock. You are approaching a vessel in international waters. Alter course immediately. Silence. Just static. Then both fighters disappear behind the destroyer's superstructure. Russian state media, predictably, would later claim their pilots were just conducting training. NATO, in its usual diplomatic fashion, would call it unprofessional. But Captain Williams? He orders the electronic warfare team to go active. From the deckhouse rear, a white dome about the size of a beach ball emerges. It's not a gun. This is the SLQ-32 V.6. In layman's terms, think of it as a high-powered jammer, capable of frying circuits across the range of a small town. It's a silent, invisible weapon. Next, he swings the massive ship broadside, presenting its fullest radar cross-section. It's a dare, a challenge, not a retreat. It screams, "Come on, make your move." Meanwhile, deep inside the hull, technicians are switching the Aegis system from track to target illuminate. Both jets claw for altitude, dumping chaff and flares in a desperate, almost comical attempt to evade a threat that hasn't even fired. In less than 10 seconds, they're tiny specks, disappearing rapidly towards Kaliningrad. The Donald Cook quietly resumes her course, the tension slowly draining from the air. Below decks, you can hear the relieved high fives and quiet cheers, but up on the bridge, it remains eerily quiet. Captain Williams logs the incident, his report concise and to the point. Then he radios fleet headquarters. Situation stable, no injuries, no rounds expended. Translation, we won this round, decisively, without firing a single shot. Let's talk about geography for a second. The Baltic waters are notoriously cramped, barely 150 miles wide at their narrowest point. Every freighter, every tanker, every warship operating here does so under the watchful, often hostile eyes of Russian coastal missiles. The Kremlin's long-term strategy is clear. Make this area feel like a Russian lake without ever officially declaring it as such. It's a slow-motion territorial grab. Think of it like a game of chess, but with much higher stakes. Captain Williams essentially sacrificed a pawn of secrecy, the precise capabilities of his EW systems, to expose the king's vulnerability. Russia learned that day that every close flyby, every aggressive maneuver, carries the very real risk of an electronic knockout punch. A punch that leaves no physical damage, but plenty of embarrassment and a clear message: we see you. Remember 2220, a Russian corvette, the Yaroslav Mudry, sliced aggressively across the bow of the USS Farragut in the North Arabian Sea. But the Baltic 2024 encounter added a fresh, chilling wrinkle: the hybrid drone threat. Just 3 months earlier, during a NATO exercise called July Storm, autonomous Russian naval drones, reportedly packed with explosives, swarmed a NATO drill area. Our ships countered them with deck-mounted machine guns and, yes, electronic jamming. It was a dress rehearsal. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking, and it's a fair question. Why not just shoot? International law, after all, allows for self-defense if an aircraft creates imminent danger. And those Russian jets were certainly pushing the envelope. But here's the problem: optics. A downed Russian jet, regardless of justification, would absolutely dominate global headline. It would inevitably split NATO members, some of whom are always wary of escalation. And worst of all, it would hand Moscow a ready-made martyr narrative, turning a dangerous provocation into a propaganda victory. That's a gift you don't give your adversary. By choosing electronic means, Captain Williams stayed firmly below the threshold of kinetic conflict. He avoided a shooting war, yes, but he still demonstrated an overwhelming capability. It's the maritime equivalent of a bouncer at a club, lifting his jacket just enough to show the holster on his hip. No fight needed. The message is clear, understood, and incredibly effective. So, there you have it. Those Russian pilots thought they'd rattle an American tin can, maybe even film it for the evening. News, scoring a propaganda win. Instead, they got a front row seat to the most advanced radar suite on the planet and left with their threat receivers screaming. No missiles flew, no lives were lost, but the message pulsed across the Baltic faster than any fiber optic cable could transmit it. Play stupid games, win electronic warfare prizes. If you learned something new or found this breakdown fascinating, do me a favor. Smash that like button and drop a comment below. Should NATO publish more footage of these tense run-ins, or is it better to keep it all classified? I read every single reply. Until the next showdown on the high seas, stay sharp, stay curious, and always remember, in modern naval warfare, the loudest weapon is often the one you never, ever fire.